Hello, guys. Welcome to this live session. I'm drlum, and today I want to discuss with you specifically how you can overcome and crush ERAS anxiety. Okay? So welcome to the room. I see y'all signing up. Welcome. All right, so many people on here. Tasia, all right, Dolly, Usmani, Daisy, Stay Calm Doogie, Touched and Giggling. Y'all have the most hilarious names, y'all, for real. Like, how do you come up with these names sometimes? Like, it actually cracks me up. All right, welcome to this live session. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be sharing with you today some specific things that you can incorporate into your life during this very stressful season, okay? So if there's anyone who knows ERAS is stressful and going through the process of ERAS is stressful, it's me, and I feel you, you feel me, we feel one another, and that's why you're here, okay? Oh my God, thanks. I see the badges. Thanks for supporting the badge. Del Z_D bought a badge. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. So, Maria is on. Maria and I did a one-on-one coaching session last week. I think Nora is on as well. We did a coaching session yesterday. So I'm just excited, really, you guys, to share some things that I wrote down. So I made me a little scrappy notepad here because sometimes I get on here and I get off track. If you have questions, drop them down below in the question box. Oh, by the way, guys, I made an IMG Roadmap tank top. Can you see it? I'm so excited. But anyways, let's talk about why you came here. You came here because you want to learn how you can crush ERAS anxiety, and maybe you have a question for me. If you have a question, drop it in the question box. I'm going to go over these 6 things that I wrote on crushing ERAS anxiety. First, what is ERAS anxiety, right? I had a lot of anxiety going through this process because as an IMG, I needed a visa, okay? I needed programs to call me for interview, right? So I can even have the hope of being able to secure a position. I think sometimes we worry about matching, but then we forget that to get to the match, there are several steps that we have to take. The first step is getting invited for interviews. So that's why I like to break down my problems into bite sizes, and I recommend that you do the same. When I say break down your problem into bite sizes, what I mean is this. Number 1, before you start worrying about matching, I want you to focus on getting interviews. That's the first step to the match. Don't go ahead of yourself to think about the match when you haven't even gotten to the point of thinking about your interview, okay? So the first step is worrying about the thing that you have control over for the moment. So what do you have control over right now in this season, right? Right now, today, in August, you have control over creating an application for residency come September 29th when programs start downloading applications. That's the only thing you have control over. You don't have control over who's going to call you for an interview. You don't have control over who is going to rank you. You don't have control over the algorithm. So I usually say that instead of worrying about everything at one time, break it down into bite sizes, okay? So focus first on getting interview invitations. And that's why all of this month, all my content is focused on directing you to ways that you can present yourself in the most competitive manner so that you can get invited for interviews. And if you haven't watched my webinar on becoming a competitive applicant, you can DM me about, just say competitive. That's the word, competitive, and I'll send it to you, okay? But the first problem that you should be focused on is just getting interviews. That's your only worry, okay? And because that is nerve-wracking to think about, to process, then I'm going to give you these next steps that you can incorporate into your life, okay? Now, disclaimer, if you are dealing with generalized anxiety disorder, or you are dealing with generalized anxiety as a diagnosis, please seek help, okay? Because that is different from what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is just the thought of applying to residency makes me feel queasy. It makes me feel like I need to rush to the bathroom. It makes my heart like palpitations come about, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, just symptoms that or things that we feel that are not necessarily related to a biochemical imbalance. Okay, if you have major depressive disorder, please seek help from a therapist and a psychiatrist both. Okay, so that's not the group that I'm talking to today, because I am not a psychiatrist or a therapist. I want to give you practical tips just for coping through a stressful season. Okay, so number one is breaking down the problem into bite sizes, which is, we're not going to go into thinking about matching. We're just going to focus on getting invited for interviews. Number two, you're going to get help. If you do have a psychiatric condition, or a condition that requires more help than just the baseline, okay? So you're not sleeping, you're losing interest, you feel like you want to hurt yourself, that's a whole different ball game. For those, please talk to a certified professional, okay? Now, moving on, for those of us who are just dealing with just a little bit of anxiety, right? Realize that anxiety is normal, okay? Anxiety is normal. It is actually, to me, I have reframed anxiety to become something that propels me forward. So when I feel anxious in my stomach, you know what that tells me? It tells me, okay, Nina, you need to be doing something so that you can overcome this. You need to be doing something to compensate for it. You need to be doing something so that you feel better about what's making you anxious. And so I have turned that anxiety, okay, into a thing that helps me achieve my goals. So when I feel queasy, it means something's missing. It means I haven't done something yet. I should focus on one thing that I can do to make it better. And that shifts anxiety from becoming, oh my God, I'm so scared, into, oh wow, let me find out what I could do differently right now. It could be watching a webinar that Dr. Loomis put out. It could be replaying this video and reminding myself that this is normal. To feel anxious is a normal response. Your sympathetic nervous system is saying, oh my God, there is a chance that you may not become a doctor. And then your sympathetic nervous system gives you that signal. And then you also, it's up to you to then realize that, oh, that is just part of me being fight and flight, right? You get all hyper vigilant and you're ready to go. That's part of that. But it's my place to say, okay, I can step back away from that and realize that that thought is normal, because even the most brilliant person who had 260 has that thought as well. They're also worried about the match. Even those medical students out of Harvard University or Northwestern University or whatever university you think it's better than yours, they also have that same thought. So you are not alone in thinking like that. It's a normal process. Now, your responsibility though is to stop and say, why am I thinking that way? How can I improve my thought process, right? How can I use that energy that's building up inside of me, which we call fear, that fearful energy? How can I take that ball of fearful energy and channel it towards something else? I can work on my personal statement. I can hire somebody to edit it. I can ask my mentor to edit it, right? I can fill my ERAS form. I can have my senior upper level from school look at it for me. There's so many things you can do, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about that you can do, which is, I think we're on the 4th point now, okay? My notes, trying to keep track, is recenter yourself. I am Christian, and all of you on here probably know what my faith belief is. Now, some of you may not believe in the same thing that I believe in. You may not believe in Jesus Christ. You may not believe in God. And, I pray that we all find the truth, right? But more importantly, my faith is also the way that I center myself. What do I mean by that? My spiritual practices, such as praying and reading my Bible and reminding myself of what God says about me, helps me survive, right? So if you believe the same, you may want to incorporate more of that during the season to help recenter you into what you truly believe, right? And I don't know, but I grew up and I am in this mindset right now in my life that there is nothing too hard for God to handle. And whenever anything is beyond my potential or capabilities, even when it's within what I think are my potential or is within my potential, I still submit it to Christ, because I can't take care of the world's problems. I read your DMs every day. Half the time when I can't fix it, I just say, Lord, help this person, because I can't, right? So finding that recentering practice, okay, within what you believe in definitely helps. Now, I think we're number 5 now. Limit your influences. What do I mean by that? This is a stressful season. It already is. That in-law, that cousin, sister, friend, school, blogger, or bloggers that are telling you how this is impossible. Reddit can be really good. Reddit threads are really good for giving you Excel sheets, spreadsheets and things. People put information together. Reddit could be great for that, but it could also be really bad for your mental health. Student Doctor Network, that one should be canceled. I'm not for cancel culture, but Student Doctor Network needs to chill because they'll tell you all the bad things, like you don't stand a chance and da. Instead, redirect your influences. Who are the people that you're allowing to pour into your life during the season? Okay. I want to think that I'm a positive influence for IMGs. So maybe you may want to turn on my post notifications. So when you are on social media, you're only focusing on things that are going to benefit you. Okay. And last but not least, get some rest and exercise. Those are 2 very important things. And exercise doesn't have to be CrossFitting or doing the most. It could just be going for a walk. It's nice outside. Just go for a walk. It clears your mind. Go out, walk in nature. It just helps you kind of recenter, right? Because this is the most important thing. We're going to recenter, refocus, realign ourselves. Okay. Now, I'm going to take questions regarding ERAS because that is what you're all here for, right? If you haven't already, all my ERAS resources are free this season, okay? So I make all these free resources for you guys because I know how anxiety provoking all of this is. That's why I put out free resources like crazy in August, okay? Well, I shouldn't say all. Most of my resources. The only one that's not free is the one-on-one on the 26th with my private school students, okay? But you have my ERAS webinar, which is available on the link in my bio. You have my YouTube channel. I have a shorter form video. So the ERAS webinar is like 90 minutes long. The shorter form video is 30 minutes long that I did on IGTV and uploaded to YouTube. Then you have my personal statement webinar. You actually have a glimpse of my personal statement if you want to see my own fellowship personal statement, which I think was way better than my residency personal statement. You can always DM me asking for that and I'll get that to you. Just DM me your PS or something like that. So you have number 1 is competitive, or number 2, your PS. I'll direct you to where you can find that. And you also have, for those of you that are in my membership, like in my class, my school, IMG Roadmap, you have me. Okay. So don't be afraid to use the free, my podcast. Podcast. Tons of episodes for every specialty that you're applying into. Listen to what the people did. Listen to what the students did, the doctors. What did they do different? How did they impact their life differently? Copy from their example. It's that easy. So I'm going to take some questions now. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And thank you for those of you supporting my badges. I have tons of support. So Ruchi asked, do you know any personal statement editing agency which doesn't cost a fortune? Ruchi, can you tell me what a fortune is? Like, drop a number in the chat, like a figure. What's too expensive for you? Tell me and I'll give you some suggestions. Is there a way to upload a resume as well, or is it just the application that serves? Yes, so only your application. So when you fill out the form fields, it populates that information into a PDF document, and so programs can begin downloading that at the end of September. So you don't need to upload a separate resume. The way that those form fields in ERAS appear, you enter information and you can save and download later on. Aisha says, Nina, anxiety plays a great role. Thank you so much. It is the truth. As for me and my household, we surrender our anxiety to God, but then we rest, we sleep well, we eat well, we exercise, right? And then we focus and recenter or we realign our influences, so we make sure that we're keeping positive information. And then I have to take my notes again. And then we realize that anxiety is normal, okay? And we use that energy as the propellant to get to our goals. And then we get help. If we need actual help from a therapist or a psychiatrist or be on medications, we get help. US Emily Enthusiast has been listening to your podcast every day. Immensely helpful with calming my nerves, guides me towards the right direction. I agree. The IMG Roadmap podcast is available on Spotify, Google, Apple, and also on drlum.com. So the way that you can use it is you could search by specialty. So if you have a specialty interest, you could search by specialty. Another thing you can do is, no matter what the specialty is, the truth that these doctors share are the same across the board. So you don't need to be applying to that specialty. So for example, I posted anesthesiology today. You may not be applying into anesthesiology, but you could listen to the episode because you learn about that person's journey, the things that made them successful in the match, and then you can also learn about just other tips that you weren't even prepared for. Because we're all multifaceted, right? We're coming with different skills and different backgrounds. Okay, I have a good LOR uploaded. After the deadline, a program's still able to see it. Yes, you can upload your LORs. If you want, you can always notify your programs that you have uploaded something new. How to upload on Wave LOR in PDF format and how to upload a Wave LOR. So the LOR portal the LOR portal has two sides. It has your side and it has the letter writer side. So when you generate an LOR request, you'll put in the email information of the person who will write your LOR. They'll get an email notification and they will upload your LOR. If you are in the presence of that person and having to help them manually, you just follow the prompts that they receive by email once you generate the LOR request. All right. Tasia says, I feel very anxious about moving forward and it's impacting my ability to take action to approach LORs right here. This is the third time applying and I think I need help with it all. Tasia, it doesn't hurt to get a life coach. It doesn't hurt to get a counselor or somebody to help you overcome that, because what you're dealing with is the fear of failure, because you've dealt with failure before. And so sometimes you need some more live, like some specific approaches that you can take for your specific situation in order to overcome those barriers. That way you're not susceptible to the same things that have happened in the past. Hello, I'm taking step 2. This is caffeinated Bangeron. Second, I know I'm cutting it too close. So if you have a step 1 score, apply. And I tell this to every one of my students. If you have a step 1 score, apply. Once your step 2 scores come out, you can always reach out to programs and say, hey, I got my step 2 score. But if you have a step 1 score, apply. To LORs by a med school dean hold importance. Your med school dean should write your MSPE. I think that is the biggest thing. MSPE definitely holds a very high ranking in the eyes of program directors. Punit says, I've done 2 telerotations. There's an overlap of 2 weeks between them. Both of them were at different times and different days. Will they promise? No, you just put it and you explain that simultaneous with the other experience. You explain that in the description. And if you don't know how to describe your experiences, check my most recent post about how to write your experiences. Can I match even if I don't have any publications? Yes, you can. Is general volunteering service at any hospital useful for CV? Yes, it just says you're a good person, I guess. Balaramia, for ERAS experience, should we write everything that we did? I feel it's getting too lengthy. So you can always curtail it to your most important or pertinent experiences. But if you're coming up with, like, I don't know, a 100-page ERAS application, that's not necessary, right? So you can always truncate those to what's necessary for your specialty. Can I include op-ed articles on social justice published in newspapers in my publication ERAS? If you published it and there's evidence and you are interested in health policy, I don't see why not. If my rotations start during the interview season, is it okay? Yes, that should be fine. So I've answered your questions here. A lot of these questions, guys, you realize this is, within a 30-minute frame, I can't give you all the details because I don't know, like, your background and the things that you're coming with. And it's hard for me to know those things. So if you do want to talk with me on a one-on-one, that's available. But my calendar is already full for August. So September 1, I'll be opening some new dates. You can always send me an email if you're interested. My email is on my profile. And it's there. You can email me, but I don't have any dates for August. But September, I will have some dates open up that I can, speak with you about your specific scenario. So do utilize that as well. You can contact me as to where to find my calendar if you so choose. And let's see, there's some more questions. How do you overcome fear of failure? You realize that failure is one, normal, two, even the most successful people that you admire experience failure at one time or the other. The only difference is they didn't stop at failure. The problem with failure is we stop when we fail. We don't keep going, and that is the failure. The failure is when you stop moving forward or you stop trying. So failure is part of life. And so when I tell myself that something is a part of life, it makes it easier for me to adapt and cope with it. That's my coping mechanism. You may have a different coping mechanism from me, okay? And that is perfectly fine. But something that works for me is realizing that failure is part of life, and even the people that I adore failed. I failed multiple times in my life, and I can tell you, and you know, those of you who've been a part of my webinars, you've heard my story time and time again. And it's a part of life, you know. It just comes and it goes. It happens when it does. Dr. Cadena says it's taking step 2 in November, too late to apply. So it is late, but it's not too late because you can always still participate in the SOAP. If you're in the cycle, then you're eligible to participate in the SOAP in March. That is provided you don't get any interviews December, January. But November is kind of late. Can you match if you have a gap on your CV? If you listen to my podcast, Dr. Mehar, you will notice that there are several doctors who have matched with gap years of 5. The longest I've had on my podcast who matched with the gap is 13 years. Last cycle in my IMG Roadmap course, I had an IMG who finished medical school, like I'm saying before the year 2000. So only God knows how many years that is, right? And she just matched into pathology this year, okay? And she's somebody that I did one-on-one coaching with. So older IMG, right? Finished medical school before the year 2000. So it's all about what's between your ears, right? What's in how your mindset, how you're processing these things. Do you have any tips to make your CV look great? I do. Have you watched my webinar? If you watched my webinar, you'll have the answer to that. The link to my free webinar is in my profile. If you don't see it on there, send me a DM and I'll send you the webinar. But guys, when you ask questions, do the homework. I've already told you what you need to do. You're just not listening. You're just not taking what I'm offering you. And you're not doing anything with it. You want to come here and talk to me on Instagram Live, but I tell you what you should do. Watch the webinar. Have you done that, right? When you DM me and I give you resources, it's because I've been where you're at and I know your question and I've answered it. And it's written down for you. I'm not picking on you, Seba. I promise. I am not picking on you in particular. I'm just saying, like, for everybody on the call, these resources are there for a reason, okay? Do you have any tips on how to make your CV look great? Okay, the timing step 3 is fine or high scores don't matter. What step 3 does for you is it allows you to obtain your unlimited license to practice medicine after you complete your intern year, I believe. So step 3 usually tells programs that you won't have trouble with licensure. So it's a good thing to have. Obviously, the higher your score on any of the exams makes you look competitive, period, right? I don't care what anybody says. But obviously, the goal with step 3 is just pass it, okay? Please, just pass it. So let's see. If my LOR won't be ready for September 29th, should I still submit my app or should I wait? Thank you. Yes, submit. And once your LOR becomes available, it will become available. But please submit. Nina, I've been working as a medical scribe for 3 years. Will that be considered on my CV? Also, I've been working in a hospital in India. You can put it on there. It's just not about what you've done. It's what you've learned from what you've done and how you explain your way through it. Okay, there is a way about explaining an experience that makes it valuable to the person reading it. But if your experience didn't mean anything to you, it's not going to mean anything to somebody else. Okay, there are so many IMGs who have been where you're at and had worse experiences and even more irrelevant experiences. But it's about how they explain their experiences. Okay, keep that in the back of your head. I'll probably be getting ECM certified in a minute. Does that decrease my chances? ECM certification is absolutely necessary in 2 scenarios. 1, if the program specifies that they want only ECFMG certified applicants. And 2, ECM certification must be obtained prior to the rank order deadline. So you can be in the process of obtaining certification while going through your application, because your certificate only matters for the rank order list. Okay? All right. Should I definitely have a CV or can I use a resume? What are you talking about, the engineering doc? ERAS has form fields. You fill your information on there. It generates a CV for you on there. It generates an ERAS application form for you. So I don't know what you're referring to about having a CV or So a CV obviously is a curriculum vitae. So it's a long form. A resume is a brief abbreviation of your CV, if that's what you're referring to. When you're filling out the ERAS form, then you're going to go with the CV format, so detail, and they ask you for your experiences to be explained. Dr. Mehar, join me on August 26th, okay, at, I believe we're doing this at 4 p.m. I haven't announced it yet. Myself and a plastic surgeon, IMG, will be on IG Live talking about ERAS. Another place on my podcast, I've interviewed about 3 plastic surgeon IMGs, okay? One is of Nigerian descent, one is of British descent, and they're both on my podcast right now. You can walk on over there to Apple Podcasts and look it up, and you'll find that IMGs do match plastic surgery, all right? And there's another person I follow on Instagram who's an IMG who also matched plastic surgery. So I have a coaching call right now with one of my one-on-one students. It's at 3 p.m. so I'll have to go. But this replay is available for you. You can come back and watch it at a later time. And I'll see you next week on our next IG Live. And if you haven't watched my webinar yet, what are you waiting for? All right? Go ahead. Go right now and go watch it. Thank you.